She was 19 when her father traded her life for silver coins and a promise. But the creature who claimed her in that cursed transaction wasn't entirely human, and neither was the love that would bloom between them under the light of the full moon. The autumn wind howled through the mountains of North Carolina like the cry of something ancient and hungry. In the dilapidated cabin at the edge of Blackwood Forest, 19-year-old Luna Ashford pressed herself against the rotting wooden wall, her heart hammering as she listened to the voices in the next room. "She's strong, I'll give you that," her father Silas was saying, his words slurred with cheap whiskey. "Works harder than 3 men. Cooks, cleans, hunts. She's worth what you're offering and more." "I'm not interested in her domestic skills," came the reply. A voice so deep it seemed to vibrate through the floorboards. It was a voice that belonged to something massive, something dangerous. "I need someone who won't run, someone who has nowhere else to go." Luna's blood ran cold. She'd known this day would come. Ever since her mother disappeared into the forest 5 years ago, presumed dead, her father had become something else, something cruel and calculating. He looked at her now the way a merchant looks at livestock. "She won't run," Silas assured him. "Girl's got no prospects, no family except me. Where would she go?" Through the crack in the door, Luna caught her first glimpse of the man who'd come to buy her. He stood in the shadows, but she could make out an imposing figure, at least 6.5 feet tall, with shoulders that filled the doorway. His hair was long and dark, tied back from a face she couldn't quite see. But his eyes, even in the darkness, they seemed to glow with an amber light that made her stomach drop. $500 in silver, the stranger said, his voice final. "And the debt your brother owes to the Thornwood pack is erased. Those are my terms." "Pack?" Silas laughed nervously. "What kind of pack needs? Do we have an agreement or not?" The stranger's voice dropped to something close to a growl, and Luna saw her father actually take a step back. Yes, we have an agreement." Luna's hands flew to her mouth to stifle a gasp. $500. Her father had just sold her for $500 like she was nothing more than a horse or a piece of property. The door to her room swung open, and Silas stood there unable to meet her eyes. "Pack your things, girl. You're leaving tonight." "Papa, please," Luna started, but the stranger appeared behind her father and the words died in her throat. Up close, he was even more imposing. His face was all sharp angles and hard planes, like it had been carved from mountain stone. A scar ran from his left temple down to his jaw. His eyes were indeed amber, wolf amber, and they studied her with an intensity that made her feel simultaneously terrified and strangely seen. He wore dark clothes that looked expensive but practical, and there was something about the way he moved, fluid, predatory, that set off every survival instinct she had. "I'm Fenris Thornwood," he said, his voice softer now but no less commanding. "You'll be coming with me to Thornwood Manor. Gather what you need. We leave in 10 minutes. "I don't have much," Luna whispered, hating how small her voice sounded. "Then it won't take long." He turned and walked back into the main room, leaving her alone with her father. Silas wouldn't look at her as she stuffed her few possessions into a worn canvas bag. Some clothes, her mother's silver locket, the hunting knife her grandfather had given her. When she emerged, Fenris was waiting by the door, a leather satchel of silver coins in his hand. "The debt is paid," Fenris said coldly to Silas. "If I ever hear of you trying to contact her or come to my territory, the arrangement will be void. And so will your life. Are we clear?" Silas nodded. Already counting his silver, and Luna felt something inside her break. Her own father couldn't even say goodbye. The truck that waited outside was a massive black vehicle that looked like it could drive through a brick wall. Fenris opened the passenger door for her, surprisingly gentlemanly, and waited until she'd climbed in before closing it firmly. As they drove away from the only home she'd ever known, Luna didn't look back. There was nothing there worth remembering. The silence in the truck was suffocating. Luna pressed herself against the passenger door, watching the dark forest rush by. They drove for over an hour, climbing higher into the mountains until the paved road gave way to dirt, then to barely a path at all. Finally, they emerged into a clearing, and Luna's breath caught. Thornwood Manor rose before them like something from a Gothic novel. A massive stone structure with towers and turrets, surrounded by ancient oaks that seemed to reach for the star-filled sky. Lights blazed in some of the windows, and she could see figures moving inside. "There are rules here," Fenris said, his first words since they'd left her father's cabin. "You'll learn them quickly because your life may depend on it. First rule, never go into the forest alone, especially during the 3 nights of the full moon. Second rule, never enter the west wing of the manor. Third rule, what you see and hear in this house stays in this house. Do you understand?" "I understand," Luna said, though she understood nothing at all. "Good." He climbed out of the truck and she followed, her legs unsteady after the long drive. The front door opened before they reached it, and a young woman appeared, maybe a few years older than Luna, with copper-red hair and startling green eyes. "Fen, you're back. And you actually brought her. I was starting to think you'd chicken out." "Rowan," Fenris said, his tone a warning. "What? I'm just saying it's been, 15 years since you've had anyone new at the manor who wasn't—" She stopped abruptly, her eyes flicking to Luna, then back to Fenris. "Right, hi. I'm Rowan Thornwood, Fen's baby sister. Welcome to the madhouse." Before Luna could respond, more people appeared. A tall, muscular man with silver gray hair who introduced himself as Marcus, the Pax Beta. A quiet woman named Iris who studied Luna with knowing dark eyes. A teenager named Cole who looked at Fenris with obvious hero worship. "This is Luna," Fenris announced to the assembled group. "She'll be staying here. Make her comfortable and help her understand how things work. Marcus, I need to speak with you. Now." He disappeared into the house without another word to Luna, leaving her standing there feeling more confused than ever. Rowan linked her arm through Luna's. "Don't mind him. He's always grumpy during the week before the full moon. Come on, I'll show you to your room and explain what you've gotten yourself into. Fair warning, it's going to sound absolutely insane." Luna's room was in the east wing, a spacious chamber with stone walls softened by tapestries and furs. A fire crackled in the hearth, and the bed looked like something a princess would sleep in. It was easily 10 times nicer than anything she'd ever had. Rowan sat cross-legged on the bed while Luna unpacked her meager belongings, chattering away. "So, I'm guessing Fen didn't explain anything about why you're really here?" "He said he needed someone who wouldn't run," Luna said carefully. "Someone with nowhere else to go." Typical Fen. Vague as hell. Rowan sighed. "Okay, so here's the thing. You know how your mother disappeared 5 years ago?" Luna froze, her mother's locket clutched in her hand. "How do you know about that?" "Because she didn't disappear, Luna. She ran. From this world. From what she was." Rowan's green eyes held something like pity. "Your mother was like us. She was a werewolf." The words hung in the air like smoke. Luna should have laughed, should have called Rowan crazy, should have run screaming from the room, but instead, she felt something click into place, a puzzle piece she hadn't known was missing. All those nights her mother had disappeared, returning at dawn with leaves in her hair and wild stories about hiking. The way she'd always known when storms were coming, the strange amber glow in her eyes when she was angry. That's impossible," Luna whispered, but there was no conviction in her voice. "Is it?" Rowan asked gently. "Haven't you ever felt different? Like there's something inside you trying to get out? Especially when the moon is full?" Luna had. God help her, she had. She'd always attributed it to restlessness, to anxiety, to anything but the truth that was now staring her in the face. "My mother was human," Luna said, but it sounded like a question. "Your mother was a wolf who chose to live as human," Rowan corrected. "She left the Thornwood Pack 25 years ago when she fell in love with your father. She thought she could suppress her nature, pretend it didn't exist. But you can't run from what you are forever. Rowan stood and walked to the window, gazing out at the full moon rising over the trees. The thing is, Luna, the wolf gene is hereditary. If your mother was a werewolf, there's a very good chance you are too. If you're enjoying this story, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We're just getting started with Luna and Fenris's story, and you won't want to miss what happens next. Drop a comment below telling us what you think Luna will do when she discovers the truth about herself. That's why Fenris bought you, Rowan continued. Not as a servant or, God forbid, anything creepy like that, but as protection. See, when a potential wolf hits their 20s without having been properly trained or integrated into a pack, the first transformation can be catastrophic. Dangerous to themselves and everyone around them. Your 21st birthday is in 3 months, right? November 1st, Luna confirmed, her mind reeling. The night of the hunter's moon. The most powerful full moon of the year. If you're going to transform for the first time, it'll happen then. And if you're alone, untrained, with no pack to help you through it? Rowan didn't need to finish that sentence. So Fenris bought me to... what? Turn me into a werewolf? No, came Fenris's deep voice from the doorway. Luna jumped, not having heard him approach. I brought you here to save your life. If the gene is dormant, you'll live here as one of the pack's human family. If it's active, we'll help you through your first transformation and teach you control. Either way, you're safe here. He stepped into the room and Luna saw that he'd changed into more casual clothes. Dark jeans and a black Henley that emphasized his powerful build. His long hair was loose now, framing his angular face, and in the firelight, he looked almost beautiful. Dangerous and beautiful like a wild animal. Why? Luna asked. Why would you spend $500 and take on this responsibility for someone you don't even know? Fenris was silent for a long moment, his amber eyes studying her face. Because your mother was my father's beta. She was family. When she left, it broke something in the pack. We looked for her for years, but she'd hidden herself too well. By the time we found out where she was already gone. He paused. And because no one deserves to face their first transformation alone, terrified, with no understanding of what's happening to them. I know what that's like. There was a story there, Luna could tell. Pain in his voice that spoke of old wounds. Get some rest, Fenris said, already turning to leave. Tomorrow your training begins, whether you believe any of this or not. The days that followed were the strangest of Luna's life. She woke before dawn each morning to train with Marcus. Not in how to be a wolf, not yet anyway, but in how to be strong. He taught her to fight, to run, to push her body beyond what she thought were its limits. Even if you never shift, Marcus explained as he showed her a defensive stance. You need to be able to protect yourself. Our world is dangerous. There are hunters, rival packs, creatures far worse than wolves roaming these mountains. In the afternoons, Iris taught her about pack history, werewolf lore, the complex politics that governed their world. Luna learned that there were dozens of packs across North America, each controlling their own territory. The Thornwood Pack was one of the oldest and most respected, with Fenris as its alpha, a position he'd inherited when his father was killed by hunters 10 years ago. He was only 19, Iris told her quietly. Same age you are now. Too young to carry that weight, but he had no choice. The pack would have fallen apart without him. Luna found herself thinking about Fenris often. Too often. He was an enigma. This man who'd bought her freedom with silver and brought her to a world of impossible things. He was gruff, distant, clearly carrying burdens that bent his shoulders. But she'd catch glimpses of something else, like when she'd seen him playing with the pack's younger children, his rare smile transforming his entire face. Or the way his eyes would soften when he thought no one was watching her train. He kept his distance, though. Days would pass where she barely saw him, except in passing. When they did interact, he was all business, checking on her progress, asking if she needed anything, then disappearing before she could say more than a few words. He's scared, Rowan told her one evening as they walked the manor's grounds. Of what? Of caring. Of losing someone again. Rowan kicked at a stone on the path. When he was 18, he was engaged to a woman named Elena. She was human, didn't know about the wolves. Fen was going to tell her everything, ask her to join the pack. But before he could, hunters found out about her connection to him. They killed her to get to him, used her as bait for a trap. He's blamed himself ever since. Luna's heart ached. That's terrible. It gets worse. 6 months later, his father went after the hunters for revenge and got himself killed too. Fen inherited the alpha position, and he's been running from any kind of emotional connection ever since. He throws himself into protecting the pack, into being the perfect alpha, but he won't let anyone get close. Not really. Is that why he's never... shouldn't an alpha have a mate? Rowan gave her a knowing look. Oh, he should. The pack's been pressuring him for years to choose someone. But Fenris Thornwood is the most stubborn man in 3 states. He says he doesn't have time for love, that the pack is all he needs. But I think he's just terrified that if he loves someone again, he'll lose them too. That night, unable to sleep, Luna wandered the manor's halls. She'd been here 3 weeks now, and the place still felt like a labyrinth. She found herself drawn to the West Wing, the forbidden area Fenris had warned her about. The door at the end of the hallway was massive, made of old oak and marked with symbols she didn't recognize. I wouldn't go in there if I were you. Fenris's voice came from behind her, making her jump. She spun around to find him leaning against the wall, dressed in just sleep pants, his muscular chest bare. There were scars there. Claw marks, bite marks, the evidence of a life spent fighting. I wasn't going to, Luna said, though that was only half true. I couldn't sleep. Neither could I. He pushed off the wall and walked toward her, and Luna caught the scent of him, pine and smoke and something wild. The full moon is in 3 days. Can you feel it? She could. For the past week, she'd been increasingly restless, her senses heightening in ways that frightened her. Colors seemed brighter, sounds sharper, and there was something else. A humming in her blood that grew stronger each night as the moon waxed toward fullness. What's behind that door? She asked, changing the subject. Fenris looked at the door, his expression unreadable. My father's study. I haven't been in there since the night he died. Can't seem to make myself open it. The vulnerability in his admission surprised her. This was the most personal thing he'd shared since she'd arrived. What was he like? Luna asked softly. Strong. Fierce. The kind of alpha who'd walk through fire for any member of his pack. Fenris's voice was rough with emotion. He was a good father, too, when he had time to be. Taught me everything about being a wolf, about leadership, about honor. But I never learned the most important lesson until it was too late. What lesson? That strength isn't the same as invulnerability. That vengeance is a poison that kills the one who drinks it. He turned to look at her, and in his amber eyes she saw a depth of pain that made her chest ache. He went after those hunters knowing he probably wouldn't come back. He chose revenge over his pack, over me and Rowan, and I've spent 10 years trying not to make the same mistake. Without thinking, Luna reached out and touched his arm. His skin was warm beneath her fingers, almost hot. I don't think you could. You care too much. Fenris looked down at her hand on his arm, then up at her face, and something shifted in his expression, like a wall cracking, letting light through. You should go back to your room, he said, but he didn't move away. The closer we get to the full moon, the harder it is to control. Things. What things? Luna asked, though some part of her already knew. The wolf, the instincts. His voice had dropped to almost a growl. You have no idea what you do to me, Luna. The scent of you, the sound of your heartbeat. It's driving me insane, and I won't put you in that position. He pulled away from her touch and walked away quickly. leaving Luna standing in the hallway with her heart racing and her skin tingling where they'd touched. The night of the full moon arrived with crystalline clarity. The sky was cloudless, and the moon hung huge and silver over Thornwood Manor. Luna felt like her skin was too tight for her body, like something inside her was trying to claw its way out. The pack gathered in a massive clearing deep in the forest, far from any human settlement. They'd built bonfires that roared against the darkness, and Luna could feel the energy in the air. Electric, primal, dangerous. "Stay close to me," Fenris instructed, his hand on the small of her back. He'd barely left her side all day, his protective instincts clearly in overdrive. "If the transformation comes, it's going to hurt. There's no way around that. But we'll be here. I'll be here." Luna watched as, one by one, the members of the pack began to shift. It was nothing like the movies. No dramatic horror show transformation with bones breaking and bodies contorting. Instead, it was almost beautiful. They seemed to blur, to flow from one form to another like water until massive wolves stood where humans had been moments before. Fenris's wolf was the largest, jet black with those same amber eyes, radiating power and dominance. He came to stand beside Luna, his shoulder reaching her hip, and she couldn't help but reach out to touch his fur. It was softer than she'd expected, thick and warm. Then the pain hit. It started in her bones, a burning ache that spread through her entire body like wildfire. Luna cried out, dropping to her knees as every nerve ending lit up with agony. She could feel her body trying to change, could feel the wolf inside her fighting to get out, but something was blocking it, like a door that was locked from the inside. Fenris shifted back to human form in an instant, kneeling beside her. "Breathe, Luna. Don't fight it. Let the wolf come." "I can't," she gasped. "Something's wrong. I can feel her, but I can't." Then she remembered. Her mother's locket, the one she never took off. Her mother had given it to her on her 13th birthday with strange instructions. "Wear this always. Keep it close to your heart. It will protect you." With trembling fingers, Luna tore the locket from her neck and threw it away. The transformation hit her like a lightning strike. Pain exploded through every cell of her body as bones reshaped, as muscles reformed, as her very DNA rewrote itself. She screamed, and the scream became a howl that echoed through the forest. And then suddenly, the pain was gone, replaced by a rush of sensations so intense she could barely process them. The world had transformed. Colors were different, muted but somehow more detailed. Scents were overwhelming. She could smell everything, every creature in the forest, every plant, every pack member's individual scent. Sounds were crystal clear. She could hear heartbeats, breathing, the rustle of leaves 100 yards away. And standing before her was Fenris's wolf, his amber eyes locked on hers with an intensity that made her new wolf heart race. "You're beautiful," came his voice in her mind, and she realized with shock that she could hear his thoughts. "I knew you would be. This is real," she thought back. "I'm really a wolf. Oh God, this is really real." "Yes." Fenris's wolf moved closer, so close she could feel the heat radiating from his body. "And you're magnificent." The rest of the night was a blur of new experiences. The pack ran through the forest together, and Luna discovered the pure joy of four-legged speed, of leaping over fallen logs, of howling at the moon alongside her newfound family. Fenris stayed close the entire time, his presence a constant source of comfort and something else, something electric that crackled between them. When dawn finally came and they shifted back to human form, Luna found herself exhausted but exhilarated. Rowan had brought clothes for her, and as she dressed, she caught Fenris watching her with an expression she couldn't quite read. "How do you feel?" he asked. "Like everything makes sense now," Luna admitted. "Like I've been incomplete my whole life and didn't even know it." "Good." He smiled, actually smiled, and it transformed his entire face, making him look younger, less burdened. "You're officially pack now. One of us." "Fenris, Luna started, but Marcus appeared, his expression urgent. Alpha, we have a problem. Hunters have been spotted on the eastern border. They've got silver bullets and they're tracking something. Fenris's expression went hard immediately. Take Luna back to the manor. I'll handle this. I can help, Luna protested. No. His voice was pure alpha command. You've had your first transformation. You're exhausted and vulnerable. Marcus, get her to safety. That's an order. Before Luna could argue, Fenris was running toward the eastern border with half the pack behind him, leaving her frustrated and frightened for reasons she couldn't quite name. 3 days later, Fenris still hadn't returned. The manor felt empty without him, and Luna found herself pacing restlessly, unable to shake the feeling that something was very wrong. He does this, Rowan assured her, though she looked worried too. When there's a threat, he doesn't come back until it's eliminated. He's obsessive about protecting the pack. Has he even slept? Luna asked. Probably not. Rowan sighed. This is what I was talking about. He doesn't know how to let anyone help him carry the weight. That night, Luna made a decision. She waited until everyone was asleep, then shifted into her wolf form, still awkward and uncertain, but getting easier each time, and ran toward the eastern border. She could follow Fenris's scent. It called to her like a beacon, pulling her through the dark forest. She found him 3 hours later in a small cave, and the sight made her heart drop. He was in human form, shirtless with a makeshift bandage around his ribs that was soaked through with blood. His skin was pale, his breathing shallow. Fenris, she thought, shifting back to human form and rushing to his side. He opened his eyes, and even in the dim light of the cave, she could see they were clouded with pain. Luna? What the hell are you doing here? I told Marcus to keep you at the manor. You're hurt. She carefully peeled back the bandage, and her stomach turned. 3 parallel wounds crossed his ribs, claw marks, deep and angry. But worse, she could see silver poisoning spreading from the wounds, dark veins creeping across his skin. It's nothing, Fenris said, trying to sit up and failing. The hunters had silver-coated traps. I triggered one getting Cole out. The kid had gone out tracking against orders. I had to... He broke off, coughing. Silver poisoning, Luna said, her voice shaking. Fenris, this is serious. We need to get you back to the manor. Iris can help. Can't shift, he admitted. Too weak. And if I don't shift, the wounds won't heal. Bit of a problem. Luna's mind raced. She remembered Iris's lessons. Silver was toxic to werewolves, prevented them from accessing their wolf form and thus their accelerated healing. Left untreated, silver poisoning could kill even the strongest alpha. There has to be something we can do, she said desperately. There is. Fenris's amber eyes met hers, and in them she saw resignation. A mate bond. If we were bonded, you could share your strength with me, help me shift. But we're not, so... Then bond with me, Luna said without hesitation. Luna, no. You don't understand what you're offering. A mate bond is forever. It's not something to be entered into lightly, and definitely not in desperation to save someone's life. I understand perfectly. She took his hand, lacing her fingers through his. I'm choosing this, Fenris. I'm choosing you. Why? His voice was barely a whisper. You barely know me. I know enough. Luna moved closer, cupping his face with her free hand. I know you're strong and brave and so afraid of caring about anyone that you push everyone away. I know you bought me to save my life when you could have let me face my first transformation alone. I know that every time you look at me, you feel what I feel. This pull, this connection that terrifies us both. And I know that I'm not going to let you die in this cave because you're too stubborn to accept help. Luna. She kissed him, cutting off his protests. His lips were warm against hers, and despite his weakened state, he kissed her back with a hunger that stole her breath. The bond formed between them like a golden thread, and suddenly Luna could feel everything he felt. The pain, yes, but also the fierce love he'd been trying to deny, the loneliness he'd carried for so long, the desperate hope that maybe, just maybe, he could have this without losing it. Power surged between them, and Fenris gasped against her lips as his wolf rose to meet hers. The transformation flowed through him, healing the wounds, purging the silver from his system. When he finally pulled back, his eyes were blazing amber, and he looked at her like she was the only thing in the world that mattered. "You wonderful, reckless, impossible woman," he murmured. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" "Saved your life?" Luna suggested, smiling through her tears. "Bound yourself to a broken man who doesn't deserve you." "You're not broken. You're healing. We both are." She rested her forehead against his. "And I think maybe we can heal better together than we ever could apart." Are you loving Luna and Fenris's story? Smash that subscribe button and hit the bell so you don't miss a single moment. Drop a comment and tell us, would you have bonded with Fenris to save him? Let us know below, and don't forget to like this video to help us reach more werewolf story fans. The week following their bonding was pure bliss. Fenris was transformed. The cold, distant alpha was gone, replaced by a man who couldn't seem to stop touching her, looking at her, finding excuses to be near her. The mate bond thrummed between them constantly, a warm presence in the back of Luna's mind that let her feel his emotions as clearly as her own. "You're staring at me again," Luna said one morning as they trained together in the clearing. "I'm allowed to stare at my mate," Fenris replied, completely shameless. He moved behind her, adjusting her stance, his hands warm on her hips. "Besides, you're beautiful when you're focused. Your face does this thing. Fen, you're supposed to be teaching me to fight, not flirting." "Can't I do both?" He spun her around and kissed her soundly, making her laugh against his lips. This was a side of Fenris no one had seen in years. Playful, affectionate, almost carefree. Rowan told Luna the pack was overjoyed, that having their alpha happy again had lifted everyone's spirits. But happiness, Luna was learning, was something the universe seemed determined to steal away. She was sitting on the manor's porch one afternoon, enjoying the autumn sunshine, when a strange car pulled up the long driveway. A woman emerged, tall, elegant, with silver blonde hair and ice blue eyes. She walked with the confidence of someone who owned the world. "Is Fenris Thornwood here?" the woman asked, her voice cultured and cold. "He's out on patrol," Luna said, standing. "Can I help you with something?" The woman's eyes swept over Luna with obvious disdain. "I'm Celine Blackmore, Alpha of the Silverpaw Pack. I've come to collect on an old promise." Rowan appeared in the doorway and the color drained from her face. "Celine, what are you doing here?" "Hello, Rowan. Still playing second to your brother, I see." Celine's smile was razor sharp. "Where is Fenris? We have matters to discuss. Wedding matters, to be specific." Luna felt like she'd been punched in the stomach. "Wedding? Oh, you didn't know?" Celine looked delighted by this revelation. 15 years ago, our fathers arranged a marriage alliance between our packs. Fenris was to marry me when he became Alpha. He's been Alpha for 10 years now, and I've been patient, but my patience has limits. I've come to set a date. "That contract is void," Rowan said sharply. "Fen never agreed to it. His father agreed to it. An Alpha's word is binding, even after death. Or is the Thornwood Pack in the habit of breaking blood oaths now?" Before anyone could respond, Fenris emerged from the forest, Marcus at his side. The moment he saw Celine, his expression went hard. "What are you doing here?" "Collecting what's mine, darling." Celine moved toward him with the grace of a predator. "We've had a contract for 15 years. It's time to honor it." Fenris's eyes found Luna's, and through the bond, she felt his rising panic. "I'm not marrying you, Celine. I never agreed to that arrangement." "Your father did. And according to werewolf law, his agreement is binding." Celine's smile was triumphant. "Unless, of course, you've already taken a mate. But surely I would have heard about that." The silence that followed was deafening. Luna understood immediately. If Fenris announced their bond, he'd be breaking whatever agreement his father had made, which could mean war between the packs. But if he didn't announce it, he'd have to marry Celine or risk the same consequences. He has taken a mate, Luna heard herself say. Me. We bonded a week ago. Celine's eyes narrowed dangerously. Convenient timing. And I'm supposed to believe this isn't just a desperate attempt to avoid your obligations? Believe what you want, Fenris said, moving to Luna's side and taking her hand. The bond is real. I have a mate, which makes the marriage contract void. Does it? Celine pulled out her phone and made a call. Father? Yes, I'm at Thornwood Manor. It seems Fenris has taken a mate. A girl named Luna. No, not from any pack we know. Human-born, first transformation last month. She listened for a moment, her smile growing wider. Understood. I'll inform him. She ended the call and looked at Fenris with barely concealed glee. My father has invoked his right to challenge the bond. According to the old laws, if a contracted alpha takes a mate other than their intended, the intended may challenge for the right to that mate. A trial by combat. If I win, your bond is dissolved and we marry as agreed. If you win, the contract is void. That's barbaric, Luna protested. Those laws are ancient. Nobody follows them anymore. Nobody except the old packs, Celine corrected. And the Silverpaw pack is one of the oldest. We follow the old ways. So what will it be, Fenris? Will you fight for your mate, or will you honor your father's agreement and marry me? Through the bond, Luna felt Fenris's turmoil, rage at being trapped, fear for her safety, and a determination that burned like fire. When? He asked, his voice deadly calm. The challenge will take place in 3 days at the neutral ground in Crescent Valley. All packs are welcome to witness. Celine's smile was victorious. I look forward to making you my husband, Fenris. I always knew we'd end up together. She climbed back into her car and drove away, leaving chaos in her wake. Fen, you can't seriously be considering this, Rowan said immediately. She's baiting you. Celine is one of the most vicious fighters in 5 states. She's killed challengers before. I don't have a choice, Fenris said, his jaw tight. If I refuse, it's the same as admitting the bond is false. The Silverpaw pack would have grounds to call us oath-breakers, and we'd have a war on our hands. Then let me fight her, Luna said. I'm your mate. This should be my challenge to accept. Absolutely not. Fenris turned to her, his eyes blazing. You've been a wolf for 3 weeks, Luna. Celine has been training her whole life. She'd tear you apart. So what? You're just going to risk your life instead? I'm the alpha. It's my job to protect the pack, and that includes you. He pulled her into his arms, holding her tight. I won't lose you, Luna. Not now, not ever. I'll do whatever it takes. The next 3 days were a nightmare of preparation. Fenris trained relentlessly, pushing himself to the point of exhaustion. Marcus worked with him on strategy, knowing Celine's fighting style from past encounters. The entire pack was on edge, fear and tension crackling through the bond that connected them all. Luna felt useless. She watched Fenris prepare for a battle that could end their bond, could end his life, and there was nothing she could do to help. The mate bond meant she felt every bruise, every ache, every moment of his exhaustion as if it were her own. On the second night, she found him alone in the training yard, still going through combat forms despite the late hour. Fen, you need to rest, she called out. I need to be ready, he replied, not stopping. Luna walked onto the mat and placed herself directly in his path. Stop, please. He did, breathing hard, sweat gleaming on his skin. Luna, I'm terrified, she admitted, her voice breaking. I just found you. I just found this family, this life, myself. And now there's a very real chance I could lose it all because of some stupid ancient law and a contract you never agreed to. Fenris pulled her close, and she felt him trembling. From exhaustion or emotion, she couldn't tell. I'm scared too, he confessed. Not of Celine, not of the fight, but of what happens if I fail, of leaving you alone, of not getting to see what our life together could be. Then don't fail, Luna whispered fiercely. Come back to me. Promise me you'll come back. I promise. He kissed her then, deep and desperate, pouring everything he felt through the bond. His love, his fear, his absolute determination to survive this and return to her. When they finally broke apart, both were breathless. Whatever happens tomorrow, I need you to know that you've given me something I never thought I'd have again. Hope, love, a reason to believe in second chances. You saved me, Luna, in ways that have nothing to do with silver poisoning. You saved me too, she replied, from a life of being unwanted, unloved. You gave me a family, a home, a place where I belong. So you'd better win tomorrow, because I'm not done building our life together. They spent that night wrapped in each other's arms, neither sleeping much, both trying to memorize every moment in case it was their last. Crescent Valley was a natural amphitheater carved into the mountains, surrounded by towering pines and overlooked by the waxing moon. By the time Fenris and his pack arrived, hundreds of werewolves from dozens of packs had already gathered, drawn by word of the challenge. This wasn't just a fight. It was a spectacle, a test of the old laws, and everyone wanted to witness it. Celine stood in the center of the valley, dressed in combat leathers, looking every inch the warrior queen. Her pack surrounded her, massive wolves with cold eyes and cruel smiles. The Silverpaw pack had a reputation for ruthlessness, and looking at them, Luna could believe every story she'd heard. An ancient wolf with silver fur and milky eyes stood between the two groups. This was Elderthorn, one of the oldest werewolves in North America, keeper of the old laws. His voice carried across the valley despite his age. We gather under the old ways to witness a challenge for mate right, he announced. Celine Blackmore of the Silverpaw Pack challenges Fenris Thornwood's bond to Luna Ashford, claiming prior contract through blood oath. The challenge will be fought in wolf form, to submission or death. Do both parties accept these terms? I accept, Celine said immediately, her eyes locked on Fenris with predatory hunger. Fenris looked at Luna one last time. Through the bond, she sent him every ounce of love and strength she possessed. I accept, he said. Then let the challenge begin. Both fighters shifted, and the assembled packs fell silent. Celine's wolf was silver-white and massive, nearly as large as Fenris's black wolf. They began to circle each other, looking for openings, testing defenses. Celine struck first, a blur of silver fury that slammed into Fenris with devastating force. They rolled across the ground in a tangle of claws and fangs, and Luna's heart nearly stopped when she saw blood. Fenris's blood, staining the earth. Stay calm. Fenris's voice came through the bond. I'm okay. Trust me. But Luna could feel his pain through the connection, could feel the toll Celine's attacks were taking. The silver wolf was fast, brutal, fighting with a viciousness that spoke of years of training and countless victories. She went for kill shots. Throat, belly, spine, while Fenris fought defensively, trying to tire her out. He's holding back, Marcus muttered beside Luna. Why is he holding back? Then Luna understood. Fenris didn't want to kill Celine. Despite everything, despite the threat she posed, he didn't want to start a war by killing another alpha's daughter. He was trying to force a submission instead. But Celine had no such compunctions. She was fighting to kill, and she was winning. The silver wolf's jaws closed around Fenris's front leg, and Luna heard the bone crack through the bond. She screamed, feeling the echo of his agony, and Fenris went down. Celine was on him in an instant, her fangs aiming for his throat. Luna didn't think. She shifted and leaped into the arena. Luna, no! Rowan's shout echoed behind her, but Luna was already moving. She hit Celine from the side, knocking the silver wolf off Fenris. It was a rookie move, born of desperation rather than skill. But it worked. Celine tumbled across the ground, snarling in rage. "What are you doing?" Fenris's voice was panicked in her mind. "Get out of here." "Not without you," Luna shot back. She stood over him protectively, hackles raised, facing down Celine's fury. "The mate interferes," someone shouted from the crowd. "The challenge is void." But Elder Thorn raised his hand for silence. "No, the old laws have a provision for this. If the mate chooses to join the challenge, they may do so. But then it becomes a fight to the death. No submission. No mercy. Do you accept these terms, young wolf?" Luna didn't hesitate. "Yes." "Luna, please," Fenris begged. "I can't lose you. And I can't lose you. We fight together or not at all." Celine shifted back to human form, her face twisted with rage. "You stupid girl. You've just signed your death warrant." "Maybe," Luna said, also shifting back. "But at least I'll die fighting for love instead of living in a loveless contract." Something flickered across Celine's face. Pain, quickly masked. "You know nothing about me or what I want. I know you're so desperate for power that you'd force a man to marry you when he clearly doesn't love you," Luna replied. "That's not strength, Celine. That's weakness." The silver-haired woman's face went cold. "Enough talking. Let's finish this." They shifted back to wolf form, and the battle began in earnest. Fenris was on his feet despite his broken leg, and now he and Luna fought as one. The mate bond allowed them to move in perfect synchronization, anticipating each other's movements, covering each other's weaknesses. But Celine was still faster, still stronger, still more experienced than both of them combined. She used their coordination against them, striking at Luna to make Fenris expose himself, then pivoting to attack him when Luna tried to protect her mate. Luna felt herself tiring quickly. Her wolf was new, untrained, and fighting an opponent of Celine's caliber was like a child going up against a seasoned warrior. She took hit after hit, each one sending pain lancing through her body. Through the bond, she could feel Fenris's terror for her, his rage at his own inability to protect her. "I love you," she sent to him as Celine's claws raked across her side. "Whatever happens, remember that I chose this. I chose you." "No." Fenris's voice was broken. "Luna, please. I can't." Celine's jaws closed around Luna's throat, and the world exploded into pain. She felt Fenris's anguish through the bond, felt him throwing himself at Celine with no regard for his own safety. Then, through the haze of agony, Luna felt something else. Power. Ancient power rising from deep within her, from a source she hadn't known existed. Her mother's bloodline, not just any werewolf, but descended from the ancient alphas, the first wolves who'd walked the earth when magic was still wild and free. Light exploded from Luna's body, pure white and blinding. Celine was thrown backward, yelping in pain and surprise. Luna rose, her wolf form glowing with ethereal light, and for the first time she saw fear in Celine's eyes. "Submit," Luna commanded, and her voice carried the weight of ages, of power that predated all their laws and challenges. Celine tried to resist, tried to attack again. But the ancient power held her frozen. Around the valley, werewolves dropped to their knees, not in submission to Luna specifically, but in recognition of what she carried. Ancient alpha blood, the first pack, the original wolves from which all others descended. "Impossible," Elder Thorn breathed. The bloodline was thought extinct. Luna stepped forward, her glowing wolf form radiating power. "I claim mate right by blood inheritance. I am the last of the first pack, and by ancient law, my claim supersedes all contracts and challenges. Do you acknowledge this, Elder?" Thorn bowed his head. "The first pack's authority is absolute. The challenge is decided in favor of Fenris Thornwood and his mate Luna Ashford. The contract with the Silverpaw pack is void." Celine shifted back to human form, tears streaming down her face. "I submit," she whispered. "I submit to the authority of the first pack." The light faded from Luna as she shifted back, suddenly exhausted. Fenris caught her before she could fall, holding her against his chest. "You're full of surprises, mate," he murmured. "I didn't know," Luna said weakly. "I had no idea that power was there." "Your mother never told you?" "She left before she could." Luna looked up at him, seeing her own exhaustion mirrored in his eyes. "Can we go home now?" "Yes," Fenris said, kissing her forehead. "Let's go home." The revelation of Luna's bloodline changed everything. Packs that had ignored the Thornwood Pack for years suddenly wanted alliances. Elders came from across the continent to see the last of the first pack, to ask questions about her mother, to understand how the bloodline had survived in secret for so long. But Luna had no answers for them. All she knew was what Iris had found in the old records, that her mother had been the last surviving member of the Silver Moon Pack, an ancient line thought to have died out centuries ago. She'd hidden among the Thornwood Pack as a simple beta, never revealing her true heritage, and when she'd fallen in love with a human, she'd run to protect both her daughter and the secret of her bloodline. She knew what would happen if anyone found out, Iris explained one evening as they sat in the manor's library. "Wars have been fought over less. If she'd revealed your heritage, every pack in North America would have tried to claim you, control you, or eliminate you as a threat. So she gave up everything, her pack, her power, her identity, to keep me safe," Luna said softly. "That's what mothers do," Fenris added, his arm around her shoulders. "They protect their children no matter the cost." Luna thought about her mother often in the weeks that followed. She wished she could ask her about the power, about what it meant to carry the first pack blood. But mostly she wished she could tell her mother that she'd found a home, a family, a love worth all the sacrifices that had been made. The winter months passed in a blur of training and learning. Luna worked with Elder Thorn and other ancient wolves to understand and control her inherited power. It wasn't always there. It only emerged in moments of extreme need or emotion. But knowing it existed changed how other wolves looked at her, treated her. "Do you ever regret it?" Fenris asked her one snowy evening as they sat by the fire. "Being thrust into this world, having all these expectations placed on you?" Luna considered the question. 6 months ago, she'd been a girl with no prospects, sold by her father, uncertain of her place in the world. Now she was mated to an alpha, discovered to be the heir of an ancient bloodline, and being courted by packs who wanted alliances and favor. "No," she said finally. "I don't regret any of it. Because all of it led me to you, to this family, to understanding who I really am. Yes, it's overwhelming sometimes. Yes, I wish I'd had more time to just be a new wolf without all the politics and pressure, but I wouldn't trade this life for anything." Fenris pulled her closer. "Good, because I'm not letting you go. Ever." "Possessive much?" Luna teased. "When it comes to you?" "Absolutely." He kissed her deeply, and she felt the mate bond pulse between them, strong and unbreakable. Spring arrived with its usual burst of new life, and with it came an unexpected visitor. Luna was working in the garden. She'd discovered she had a gift for growing things, when a familiar scent caught her attention. She looked up to see a woman standing at the edge of the property, hesitant, uncertain. A woman with Luna's eyes and a face she'd thought she'd never see again. "Mama," Luna whispered, barely daring to believe it. "Hello, baby girl," her mother said, tears already streaming down her face. "I know I have no right to be here, no right to ask your forgiveness, but I heard about the challenge, heard about your bloodline being revealed, and I knew I couldn't hide anymore. I had to see you, had to make sure you were okay." Luna ran to her, throwing her arms around her mother for the first time in 5 years. They both sobbed, 5 years of grief and longing pouring out in those tears. "I'm sorry," her mother kept saying. "I'm so sorry I left you with him. Sorry I couldn't tell you the truth. Sorry for everything." "Why did you leave?" Luna asked when they finally pulled apart. "Why didn't you take me with you?" Her mother's face crumpled. Because I was dying, Luna. The human world, living without a pack, suppressing my wolf for so long, it was killing me. I felt it happening, felt myself getting weaker every day. I knew if I stayed, you'd watch me die, and then Silas would have complete control over you with no one to protect you. So I ran, came back to the mountains, found a small pack that took me in. I thought if I regained my strength, I could come back for you. But by the time I was well enough, years had passed, and I thought you'd hate me for abandoning you. I could never hate you, Luna said fiercely. You saved my life by leaving. If you'd stayed, if you'd died, I would have been trapped there forever. But because you left, because I had nowhere else to go, Fenris found me. You led me here, Mama. You led me home. The reunion was bittersweet, but healing. Luna's mother, whose real name was Sage, not Nelwyn, stayed at Thornwood Manor, slowly rebuilding the relationship with her daughter. She told Luna stories about the Silver Moon Pack, about the power in their bloodline, about Luna's grandmother who had been able to speak to the moon itself. You're stronger than any of us, Sage told her one night. I felt it when I was pregnant with you. This power that wasn't mine, that came from somewhere deeper. You're not just first pack, Luna. You're something more. A new beginning for our kind. Luna didn't fully understand what that meant, but she felt the weight of it. The responsibility of carrying such a legacy. But she didn't carry it alone. Fenris was always beside her, steady and strong. Rowan became not just a sister-in-law, but a true sister, teaching her the social intricacies of pack politics with humor and patience. Marcus and Iris became her teachers and friends. Even Cole, the young wolf Fenris had saved from the silver trap, looked up to her like she hung the moon. As summer approached and Luna's first anniversary as a wolf neared, Fenris planned something special. He wouldn't tell her what, just insisted she trust him. On the night of the summer solstice, he led her to their secret place, the waterfall where they'd first confessed their love. But now, the area had been transformed. Wildflowers covered every surface, glowing with bioluminescent magic. The pack was gathered there, all in human form, dressed in their finest. What's all this? Luna asked, stunned. We had a wedding, Fenris said, taking her hands in his. But it was rushed, a necessity rather than a celebration. I wanted to do this properly, to stand in front of our family and the moon and tell everyone exactly what you mean to me. He dropped to one knee and Luna's heart nearly stopped. Luna Ashford, you came into my life when I was broken, when I'd convinced myself that I didn't deserve love or happiness. You saw past the walls I'd built, past the cold exterior, to the man underneath who was just scared of losing someone again. You gave me hope, gave me love, gave me a reason to believe in second chances. You're my mate, my partner, my best friend, and the love of my life. Will you marry me again properly this time, with all the ceremony and celebration you deserve? Yes, Luna said through her tears. Yes, 1,000 times yes. The ceremony was beautiful. Elder Thorne officiated, blessing their union under the ancient laws. Rowan cried through the entire thing. Marcus gave a speech about how Fenris had changed since meeting Luna, becoming not just a stronger alpha, but a better man. Even Sage spoke, welcoming Fenris into what remained of the Silver Moon bloodline. When it came time for vows, Fenris spoke first. I promise to love you in this life and whatever comes after. I promise to stand beside you as you discover the full extent of your power and your purpose. I promise to be your safe harbor when the world becomes too much, and your biggest cheerleader when you need encouragement. I promise to make you laugh, to hold you when you cry, and to spend every day for the rest of our lives showing you what it means to be truly, completely loved. I am yours, Luna. Forever. Luna had prepared her own vows, but in that moment, looking at this man who'd bought her freedom and given her the world, the words she'd planned seemed inadequate. So she spoke from her heart instead. A year ago, I was lost. I didn't know who I was, where I belonged, or if I even mattered to anyone. You gave me all of that. You gave me a home, a family, and most importantly, you saw me, really saw me, when no one else ever had. You treated me like I was valuable even when I didn't believe it myself. You're strong and brave and stubborn, and you carry the weight of the world on your shoulders without complaint. But you're also gentle and funny and secretly romantic when you think no one's watching. You're the best man I've ever known, Fenris Thornwood, and I promise to spend every day of our lives reminding you of that. I promise to be your partner in all things, to share your burdens and your joys. I promise to love you in every form, man and wolf, in strength and in weakness, in peace and in conflict. You saved my life that day. You came to my father's cabin. But more than that, you saved my soul. I am yours, completely and eternally. When they kissed, sealing their vows, the moon above them seemed to glow brighter, and Luna felt her powers surge in response, not in danger or defense, but in pure joy. Light radiated from her and Fenris both, silver white and gold, intertwining like their bond, and where their light touched the earth, flowers bloomed instantly. The celebration lasted until dawn, with music and dancing and more food than anyone could possibly eat. Luna danced with Fenris, with Rowan, with her mother, with every member of the pack who'd become her family. She laughed until her sides hurt, cried happy tears, and felt more complete than she'd ever imagined possible. As the sun rose over Thornwood Manor, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold, Fenris pulled Luna away from the celebration for a quiet moment alone. They stood on the manor's highest balcony, looking out over the vast territory that was now her home. "Thank you," Luna said softly. "For what?" "For seeing me, for choosing me, for building this life with me." Fenris wrapped his arms around her from behind, resting his chin on top of her head. "I'm the one who should be thanking you. You brought light back into my life, Luna. You reminded me that love isn't weakness. It's the greatest strength of all. The pack is stronger because of you. I'm stronger because of you. We're stronger because of each other," Luna corrected. She turned in his arms to face him. "What do you think happens next? What does the future hold for us?" "I don't know," Fenris admitted. "Your power is still revealing itself. The political landscape is shifting with your bloodline's return. There will be challenges, threats, maybe even more fights ahead. But whatever comes, we'll face it together." "Together?" Luna agreed, kissing him softly. "I like the sound of that." The manor was alive with chaos of the best kind. Luna stood in the kitchen, flour dusting her hair as she pulled fresh bread from the oven, trying to ignore the sounds of gleeful shrieking coming from the yard. "Mama, Papa says I can shift if I'm good," their daughter Ember called, bursting through the door with leaves in her dark hair and dirt on her face. At 4 years old, she was the spitting image of Fenris, right down to the stubborn set of her jaw. "Papa also said you had to finish your lessons first," Luna reminded her, hiding a smile. "But Mama, no buts. Go wash up and then you can work on your reading with Grandma Sage." Ember pouted but obeyed, and Luna heard Fenris's laugh from the doorway. "You're too soft on her," he teased, though his eyes were full of love as he looked at their daughter. "And you're too indulgent," Luna shot back. "At this rate, she'll be running the pack by the time she's 6. "Would that be so bad?" Fenris moved behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist and resting his hands on her slightly rounded belly, their second child, due in 3 months. "Considering she has my bloodline power and your stubborn determination, it might be terrifying." Life at Thornwood Manor had settled into a beautiful rhythm. Luna had grown into her role not just as Alpha's mate, but as a leader in her own right. She'd established a sanctuary for lone wolves, werewolves without packs who needed a safe place to learn control. She'd mediated disputes between rival packs, her first pack authority giving her a voice that others had to respect. And she'd done it all while raising their daughter and preparing for their son's arrival. The pack had grown too. Rowan had found her own mate, a kind wolf from the Evergreen pack named River. Marcus had become like a grandfather to Ember, teaching her to track and hunt with patience and pride. Iris continued to maintain the pack's library and history, now with Luna's help as they uncovered more about the Silver Moon bloodline. Even Selene had found unexpected happiness. After the challenge, she'd realized that her father had been pushing her toward the marriage for his own political gain, not out of concern for her well-being. She'd left the Silverpaw Pack, started her own, and found a mate who loved her for who she was rather than what alliances she could bring. She and Luna weren't friends exactly, but there was a mutual respect between them. "I never imagined this," Luna said softly, leaning back against Fenris's chest. "When you bought me from my father, when I first came to this manor, I never dreamed we'd have all this." "Neither did I," Fenris admitted. "I was just trying to save your life, to honor the memory of your mother's friendship with my father. I never expected to find my soulmate, to build a family, to find joy again after so many years of just surviving." "Do you think my mom knew?" Luna wondered. "That bringing me here would lead to all of this?" "Mothers have a way of knowing things," Sage said, entering the kitchen with Ember in tow, the little girl now clean and carrying a reading primer. "I'd like to think that wherever she is during those years I was gone, some part of her knew you'd end up exactly where you belonged." Ember climbed onto a stool and opened her book, but her attention kept drifting to the window where she could see other pack members' children playing in wolf form. "Mama, did you really glow like the moon when you saved Papa?" "I did," Luna confirmed. "And do I have the glowing power too?" "Maybe. We'll find out when you're older. I hope I do. Then I can save Papa when he needs it, just like you did." Fenris ruffled his daughter's hair. "How about you focus on saving your reading lesson first, little wolf?" As the afternoon wore on, Luna stood on the porch watching her family. Ember was running with the other children now, her lesson finished and her freedom earned. Fenris was showing the younger wolves some advanced tracking techniques. Sage sat with Iris, the two older wolves sharing stories and tea. The apple tree they'd planted all those years ago had grown massive, its branches heavy with fruit, its shade sheltering 3 generations of laughter and love. This was her life now. Not the frightened girl sold by her father, not the uncertain young wolf discovering her power, but a woman who'd found her place in the world. A mate, a mother, an alpha in her own right, a bridge between ancient bloodlines and modern packs. The sun began to set, painting the sky in brilliant shades of orange and purple. As if sensing her thoughts, Fenris appeared at her side, taking her hand. "Happy?" he asked. Luna looked at everything they'd built together. The family, the pack, the home filled with love and laughter. She thought about all the challenges they'd overcome, the love they'd fought for, the future they were building together. "Incredibly happy," she said, and meant it with every fiber of her being. Because sometimes the worst moments in our lives lead us to the best. Sometimes being sold for silver coins opens the door to finding pure gold. And sometimes when a broken man meets a lost girl under the light of the full moon, magic happens. The kind of magic that transforms not just bodies, but hearts, souls, and the very meaning of home. Thank you so much for joining us on Luna and Fenris's journey. If you love this story, please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss our next werewolf romance tale. Give this video a like if Luna and Fenris captured your heart, and drop a comment below telling us, what was your favorite moment in the story? Would you like to see more stories in the Thornwood Pack universe? What kind of werewolf story should we tell next? Your support means everything to us and helps us continue bringing you epic werewolf romance stories. Share this with friends who love supernatural romance, and don't forget, the next full moon brings a new story. We'll see you then. Until next time, may you find your mate and your pack. Stay wild, story lovers.